Welcome to our first episode ever of the Rangeless Travel podcast. We're your hosts, Britt and Ryan, and every week we come on and share tips and stories to inspire you to go and plan that trip you've been dreaming of. And since it's our first episode, we want to do a little bit of our backstories and what got us into traveling and how we got the travel bug and how we ended up full-time travelers.
Yeah.
So Ryan, you share your story first.
I'll start. I'm Ryan, obviously. I'm from Ireland. I grew up there. And growing up, like, me and my parents, we didn't really go on vacation that much. We lived in England for a while, and then our vacations were going to my grandparents' house in Ireland every year for, like, 6 weeks. So, like, I didn't really get that exposure to these different cultures in different countries until...
Which is a little unusual, because I feel like a lot of people that grow up in Europe travel a lot, but maybe that's a stereotype.
Unless they live away from where they grew up.
What?
Typically, if you...
Oh, since you lived in...
We were living in England at the time, so we traveled back to home.
Oh, yeah.
For vacation.
Got it.
Yeah. So it wasn't really until I got to university that I started going and traveling and seeing new countries and new things and really thought, like, I love doing this. I really enjoy this.
Yeah.
Like, going on ski trips with college and mystery tours. Like, that was a thing in college, too, is like a mystery tour.
What is that?
That's where there's like 40 or 50 people in a group. There's one person organizing it or two people organizing it. They know where you're going to go. You put the money in, and they'll book the flights to somewhere, and they'll organize like a weekend trip to a place, and nobody knows where it is until the day that you get to the airport and you are told. Like, so I actually organized...
That's cool.
I went on one to Prague.
Yeah.
And then I organized one the following year because I loved it so much. I organized the next one to Hamburg the following year.
Cool.
Yeah.
So what was kind of like the turning point on those trips that you were like, yes, like I need more?
Just going places and seeing a new perspective on things, seeing how much is out there that you don't know. And like, you can look at things on TV and in books and things like that, but until you actually go there and you get the atmosphere and everything and like experience it for real, it's not really real, you know?
Yeah.
At least for me.
No, I totally agree with that. And then so you went during college and you did that, and then what happened?
Then I graduated college, and in the summers between, I was finishing my studies actually before I graduated, I started coming to the US for 3 months every summer to work on the Jersey Shore.
And that's where we met.
That's where we met. Yeah, it was a visa for students that could come and work in the summer. And I was coming to the Jersey Shore every weekend. Or I was working every weekend in the Jersey Shore and going on little, like, couple day trips, like 3-4 day trips to, like, Washington, to the city, to... Where else did we go? Like Nashville, New Orleans.
Yeah, you were seeing like a bunch of the states,
a bunch of the states, yeah, while I was here. So that was cool as well. Like, and that was like a nice work-life balance.
Yeah.
That like work like 3-4 days and then have a couple of days off and then things like that. It was nice. And then I finished my studies. I got a visa to come back for a year and work in the U.S. And I worked in the city as like a project manager in construction. And that just grew and grew and grew, and more responsibilities. Ended up working like crazy hours, like 6-7 days a week, and just was eventually just like, what am I doing all this for?
Yeah.
Like, if you're working and you're not living, you know, you're just getting up to go to work and coming back home and you're exhausted and you're spending a lot of money to even go to work and to
especially when you're living
and eat in the city and all of that. It's expensive.
Yeah, because in New York, the price of living is so expensive.
Right.
So even though you're living in New York, typically wages are a little higher. It's used quickly out the door.
Yeah. And then we started dating.
Yeah, and then we started dating, and your opportunity for travel
exploded.
Yeah. My story is not unlike yours, but it's a little different. I traveled a little bit as a kid. Like, we would go on like a holiday every few years. Like I did go out of the country as a kid. I went to Aruba. I'd been on a couple cruises. I went to Puerto Rico. I was also a gymnast, and we traveled quite a bit doing that. But it wasn't like a vacation. Like we'd go there, you'd compete, and you'd leave. You know, like you'd see a little bit, but not much. But I enjoyed the whole process of going places. And it wasn't till the same university, my senior year of university, I planned like this big trip because you get quite a large chunk of time off for Christmas and then New Year's and then in between that next semester. So I flew down to Florida by myself, which was my first time flying by myself, like completely by myself. No, I flew out to LA. From LA, I went and met up with my mom in Florida. And then with my mom, we drove up to her family's in Tennessee. And then from Tennessee, I went back to New Jersey. And I was like, yes. And at that same time, I was doing an internship remotely in New York. So that was, again, my first taste of being like, wait, I can work online. I could do stuff like this all the time. Well, graduation comes, and it's like 2014. Just dated myself really hard. But I graduate university, it's 2014, and bus life, van life really isn't a thing, but like it's starting. Like just like it was in its infancy. And I saw a picture on Pinterest of someone who converted like this old like 1960s, 1950s school bus to an RV. And I was like, that is what I want. That is what I need. Like I have to have that. Like my life is not complete unless I'm living in a schoolie, and was completely obsessed with the entire idea of living in a schoolie. So I got a job. I was working like 16-hour days to save up money for this school bus. Bought it on Craigslist, started outfitting it, and then took off to the South, specifically based in Alabama, and stayed down there for a while. Ended up kind of giving up on my school bus because it was a lot of work and it was just really overwhelming for me, to be quite honest. Like it was more than I could chew at the time. So I sold it and got an RV. Traveled around in the RV in the Southeast for a while and then ended up coming back up to Jersey because I just like ran out of money and like things were just not working out the way that I had hoped they did. And I planned a trip with a girlfriend of mine to Costa Rica, like late night. Like we booked flights at like 2 a.m. Getting closer to this first like international trip, like big one as an adult, my friend backed out. And she was like, yeah, like I'm so sorry, I'm not going to be able to go. And she was like, but like since I'm the one backing out, like if you don't go, like I'll give you the money that you lost in your ticket because I feel really bad. And I was just like, you know what? Don't worry about it. Like I'm going. So I didn't expect to go on this like solo trip to Costa Rica, but it ended up being one of the best things ever because it really like threw me in. Because I had solo traveled in the States. Yeah. But I hadn't traveled to somewhere by myself where I didn't speak the language there. Right. And I jumped in like just head first into like public transportation. Everyone spoke Spanish. It was a great experience. And coming back from that, I was like, yes. So I was bartending at the time and also doing social media management for some small businesses in the area. And I was taking these like 2-week trips solo. So I was like going to Iceland and going to Greece and like doing things like that. And I was like, I need long term. Like every time I'd be in a hostel and someone would be like, yeah, I'm traveling for 3 months. The jealousy inside of me. Like it was probably the most jealous I've had ever been in my whole life. Like I was like holding it in. Like, and obviously it wasn't their fault. Like it was silly, but I was so jealous of them. I was like, that's what I want. I need to long-term travel. Like I'm doing social media management. Like that's the job that people do to long-term travel, right? I'm like, I have to figure this out. So I like got down to a smaller amount of clients so that like it wasn't so overwhelming when I took off. Right. And I booked a one-way ticket to Bangkok. And I was like, I'm going. And it started off as I'm going for 3 months. Yeah, it quickly turned into a lot more than that. I was there for just... You were there. I was there. Like, I was there. I ended up living in Bali for a while. I motorbiked Vietnam. Went to Taiwan. Like, you named it. Like, in Southeast Asia and, like, up into Asia. Like, I did it. And then COVID happened. And I had really felt like I had got a handle. Like I was building a business. I was like financially good. I was living my best life. And COVID just like cut me right at the knees and was like, humble yourself, girl. And I was like, sorry. Packed up everything and had no choice but to go back home and show up at my dad's with my tail between my legs.
Yeah.
And like, it sucked. Like, it sucked so bad. But like, it sucked for everyone. So like, I didn't, you don't want to like...
Everyone was in the same boat.
Everyone was in the same boat.
Everyone was stuck at home.
Yeah.
Everyone was
losing jobs. Everyone was losing clients. Everyone was getting like laid off. Like I wasn't alone in that boat, which for better or worse kind of made me feel a little bit better. But like, I knew that I needed to get back there.
Right.
Like the goal was to always get back. So we had known each other for a while.
Yeah, a few years before.
A few years, and we were always friends, and like things just kind of sparked, and we started dating. And then I was just like, so I'm going to go travel again.
Yeah. I always expected you to go traveling again.
Yeah, I was like, I'm going traveling again. Like, that's a non-negotiable for me. Like, it's just, are you coming or not?
Right.
That was all it was.
Yeah, and I was like, it was just after COVID. Like, cabin fever had set in. I was sick.
Well, it wasn't even just after COVID. Like, it was like, we didn't take off till 2023.
I know, but COVID was like a big mind shift for me personally, like into like, I don't want to do this forever. I was like, eventually, in my head, I was like, eventually I'll go traveling. I'll get around to it. I'll do it when I'm a bit older. And then COVID happened, and then I was like, wait, I might not get a chance to go again. Like, I wanted to go on a trip during COVID, and like no one could go anywhere. It was lockdown. I was like, how long is this going to last? How long before another thing comes along or something happens where I can't go whenever I want?
Yeah. Well, and it's not just outside factors. Like, it's inside. Like, like you're not guaranteed.
And I felt myself getting sucked more and more into the system. And like, you're accumulating stuff, like loads of stuff you don't need. Like, you get tied up with all these responsibilities, and you're like, I can't leave now because of this. I can't leave now because of this. And none of the reasons that I had were because I don't want to go, or it was nothing to do with me. It was external stuff. Yeah. And I'm like, but why?
Was it hard for you? Like, what external stuff was it holding you back? Was it society's expectations? Was it your own expectations? Was it family expectations? Like, what was it?
I think it was a little bit of everything. Like, society, like, I was doing well. Like, as a typical, like, stereotypical life. Like, I had a high-paying job. It was a lot of stress, but, like, and I was living in New York. I was living the dream as a lot of people would have that dream. It was the dream, but at the same time, I wasn't really living. I was just working to pay bills.
Yeah, so you weren't working to live. You were living to work.
To work, exactly. I was just a cog in the machine. Yeah. And like I had saved up a lot of money because I was doing this for like 5 years at this point. And I lived very frugally, so I was able to save a lot of my money that I was making. So I had a big chunk of change. And I was like, what am I going to do with it?
Yeah. So I mean, at the end of the day, you were just at a place where it was like, okay, I need to go now, or I'm not going to do it.
I was like, if I don't go now, I won't go. Or I will go, but it'll be when I'm retired or when I'm old. And I'm like...
So what was your thought when I initially was... Because we butted heads a little bit about it in the beginning, because I was like, no, we have to pick a date that we're leaving or we're not going to leave, which a lot of people do. They're like, you do it. You say, we're going to go traveling. Or even if it's not like long-term and it's just short-term travel, it's like, we're going to go on that vacation. We're going to go on that vacation. And you keep pushing it off. And I know we butted heads a little bit and we got into an argument. I was like, no, like, if you want to do this with me, like, we're picking a date and we're going. And you looked at me and you said, fine, January 1st. And I was like, okay, let's go look at tickets. And we literally looked at tickets. And the cheapest way to get from the eastern U.S. into Southeast Asia is Hanoi, Singapore, Bangkok. Kuala Lumpur.
Yeah, Kuala
Those are
Lumpur.
like kind of like the hub. So if you're looking to go on a one-way ticket, those are going to be some of your best bets. Also, there's a lot of times you can find really good one-ways into Denpasar, which is Bali. So you just have to look around. And I was like, Hanoi is going to be the most affordable flight. And I think I booked us each a one-way ticket for like $435.
Yeah.
And I was like, and it wasn't January 1st. It ended up being like
January 4th.
January 4th. And we just started preparing. And we were, about 8 months out, 10 months out.
It was about that, yeah.
Yeah, 8-10 months out to like prepare. Now, I had already done it.
Yeah.
I had already done it, so I was
knew what
like,
you're getting
I knew exactly
into.
what I was signing up for. Ryan had no idea, but I had never traveled in a couple before. Like, not...
Yeah, and that has its own challenges.
Yeah.
Some ways it's more challenging than solo travel. In some ways it's definitely not.
Yeah. Now, as your first time going
On
and
a
doing
long trip?
a long trip, what's like something you wish someone would have, like what piece of advice would you have told yourself? Because we just got back from this trip. We just got back. We were there for 6 months and we just got back. Mm-hmm. So what do you wish, like if you could look at yourself from 6 months ago, what would you say to yourself?
If I looked at myself, honestly, I would say, don't worry about it. Just go and do it.
Yeah. What were you worrying about?
Stop putting it off.
Yeah, but you were
Like,
going.
I was going, but I was so worried. Like, I was like, oh, it's a huge change. I've left my job. I've left my, like, security of income. Like,
Which is huge. That's scary.
it is scary, yeah. And then I'm like, I have a life here in New York. I know what my life is. I'm not particularly liking it, but I know what it is. It's like the fear of the unknown more than anything.
Yeah, and to have that security blanket, like it's scary.
Right.
It's scary.
Yeah. So that would be
Yeah.
it. I'd be like, don't be as scared of the unknown. Just go for it. Now that I've come back, I would be prepared to go again.
Yeah. You're
someone
like,
offered
let's
me
do
a
it.
flight tomorrow, I'd be out the door. Let's go.
I think mine would be pretty similar. Like if I were to say to myself, my first like international, like when I was going to Costa Rica, I would say like don't wait for your friends. Like I wasn't,
Yeah.
like that's what I went and did. But it's like sometimes that dream trip doesn't leave the group chat. And sometimes it's just the more people that are involved, the harder it is. So like don't wait around on your friends. Like if there is a trip that you want to do or you like to travel differently than your friends, just go and do it. Like you will make friends.
That's a huge thing too, because we both travel similarly.
Yeah.
Like we're very budget conscious when we travel. We try and find the cheapest places to
Yeah,
stay.
we're going to be talking about that a lot on this podcast.
The cheapest ways to get around. Like
Yeah.
if it's like $3 less to take the bus than to get an Uber,
We are like
we're on the bus.
We are like the embodiment of the meme that's like spent $30,000 to get here. We're walking because the bus costs $2.
Yeah. Like that's good. Like that we're both on the same
Yes.
page. Because if one of us wasn't, that
It's
would be
hard to budget.
Well, I don't think it would work.
It wouldn't work. It just
We'd
can't.
both be like,
Yeah, you'd
I'm
be
just
like,
gonna go out by myself.
yeah. So just I would tell myself, don't wait around on your friends. Just go and do it. Just chase your own dream.
And the fears in your head that you're not gonna be able to figure things out. You figure things out when you're there.
You do. You figure it all out.
You've got no choice. Like you figure it out. It's a little bit stressful at times, but most of the time it's not. It's exciting. And
But figuring it out, I think, is like a huge...
it's all part of the experience.
It's all part of it, and it's also a huge confidence boost, because when you get back, you have this newfound confidence that you're like, no, I can figure it out. Like, you have no idea what I did.
Yeah.
Like, I figured out how to use the bus system in a place that I didn't even speak the language. I learned how to take the trains in Japan, and, like, no one
Or it's like taking a bus in the Philippines where, like,
you cross your fingers,
the
it
bus
shows
might
up.
show up on Wednesday. It's supposed to come on Wednesday. If it doesn't, I don't know. Maybe a school of fish came through or something. Maybe he was out fishing. The bus driver, I don't know. But you're there. If it doesn't show up,
you
it
figure
don't
it
show
out.
up. But yeah,
Yeah, I think now that we're home and we're unpacked,
yeah,
there's a lot of things that you pack in your backpack. Now, we travel with 2 packs. We travel with a front pack that is a brevete. It is a camera backpack / like tech backpack, and that's where
Right.
all of our important stuff goes. And then we have a second pack that's like our big pack. That is the Eagle Creek Global Companion. They don't make the style we have anymore,
No.
but they do make that
similar
a
one
similar
and a
one
new-
still. Yes.
new style. Yeah.
And that's a 40 liters. So in total, we're packing about 60 liters.
Yeah. It's
About
a 20
60
and a
liters
40,
is
yeah.
a 20 and a 40. We're packing about 60 liters.
They both weigh about the same, though.
I mean, our tech bag weighs a lot more, let's be honest. Now, there's a lot of things we pack in there.
Yes.
We're both a little bit guilty of overpacking in certain areas.
A little bit, yeah.
But with only 60 liters of stuff, what are like 3 things that is a non-negotiable for you? Like you're packing with you when you go on not your next trip, but like every trip.
Every trip.
Every trip. You do one and then I'll do one of mine.
Okay, my first one.
Okay. We have them here.
Yeah.
I had him collect them. I don't know what he has. He doesn't know what I have.
My first one is this. It's Abib Stick Sun Cream. It's a bit worn out, but this is the best face sun cream I've ever had.
So is it sun cream in general or this one? Like this
particular one.
Oh, okay.
Like we've had other ones that are like this, but I love this one. We're not sponsored by them. I just love it.
But we will be if
much.
you're watching.
It doesn't even feel like sunscreen. It doesn't feel like you're wearing anything on your face. It's not creamy. It's all worn out. You can't even see it because I've had it in my bag for so long. But it's like clear. It goes on clear. It's factor 50. It feels like you're not wearing sun cream at all because I hate the feeling of sun cream and I get burnt all the time. Like
He does.
aggressively. So
All right.
That's my number 1.
I'll do my number 1. Packing cubes.
That's a good one.
I can't without packing cubes. I have like a system that, I have 2 packing cubes, one this size and one smaller, and everything goes in them. And I try to get the same brand packing cubes as my backpack because they're made to fit the backpack.
Right.
So we have Eagle Creek backpacks, which we love. So we have Eagle Creek packing cubes because they fit perfectly inside the backpack. Mm-hmm. And I love it. What's your number 2?
Number 2.
Is this in any order?
Not particularly.
Okay, yeah, mine's not in any order.
So depending, this is also like climate depending. This is I picked these out for Southeast Asia.
Okay.
Depending on the climate, I wouldn't pick this next one.
Okay.
But
I picked it for whatever.
Well, you can see why I wouldn't pick this one.
I see.
These are Cairns Bedrocks 2s, I think, or 3s. Adventurous sandals. I love these. But obviously if I went to like the North Pole, this isn't going to cut it. But these are the best adventure sandals I've ever tried. I love them because they have the toe strap right here between your big toe and your second toe, and your foot doesn't slide out. The webbing's really good. They're lightweight. They dry really fast. And they got the Vibram soles on the bottom, so you're not slipping on the rocks. I was walking down trails with these comfortably that people in hiking boots were slipping down on.
Yeah, and I like my adventure sandals, but they don't have the toe strap, and there were multiple times where like I was struggling because I was sliding out the front, and like it would almost be better off like I didn't have anything on it at all. All right, my number 2. A sarong.
Yeah, that's a good one.
It's so versatile. I use it when I get out of the shower. Now I bring a pack towel too, and a lot of accommodations provide you with towels as well. But like I'll wrap my hair up in it. I'll use it as a towel. I use it as a picnic blanket. I use it as a beach cover up. I use it as a blanket on the plane or on buses. I use it as a scarf. I've used it as like a head wrap. I've used it to cover my shoulders to go into temples. I've used it to cover my knees to go into temples. Mm-hmm. It's just so versatile and strong.
Cool.
What's your last one?
My last one I didn't even pack for this trip. I didn't bring it with me. I didn't have one. I bought it in Hanoi when I was there. It doesn't matter the brand, any bum bag. I think they're essential.
Yeah.
Especially if you're like different forms of transport, you're trying to get around, you're on a motorbike, everything. This is so easy. You could just put your passport, your phone, your money, anything you need, strap it on you, and it's right here. So like you don't have to worry about pickpocket. You don't have to worry about your phone falling out of your pocket on a motorbike. Mm-hmm. You don't have to worry about where your stuff is. It's all in the one thing. So like I'm like, what pocket is this in? I know I had it, and where's my keys? I don't know. Like it's in here. Everything's in here, and it's.
I actually saw a really good hack the other day. They took this because a lot of pickpockets will take the clip and they'll like unclip it on you and like steal your whole pack. I saw someone put like a zip tie through it and then like clipped it in and like zip tied it closed.
Yeah.
So that people wouldn't be able to do that.
That's a good idea. Yeah. I like the clip. And my clip's so close to the front, it's always right there.
Yeah, I keep my clip in the same, but
I
There's
guess
some
someone
places.
could if they're good. Like
But the places we were, for the most part, Southeast Asia isn't the ones that are super known for
yeah.
pickpockets. That's more Europe. But still good. Okay, my last one. Rain jacket.
Yeah.
Any rain jacket. It can be a hot climate. It can be a cold climate. It doesn't matter. I've worn this jacket in Iceland. I've worn this jacket in Singapore. Like, I've worn this jacket all through Vietnam now twice.
Yeah.
It rains everywhere.
Yeah,
So,
everywhere in the world it's going to rain at
you know,
some
it's
point.
really uncomfy to be wet all day.
It even rained on us in the desert. Not for very long, but it did.
Yeah, so I've worn this rain jacket all over the world in every single climate. When it's cold, I like layer underneath it. When it's hot, like I just throw it over whatever I'm wearing.
Yeah, I would say it does matter what rain jacket you get, but only, not by brand, but only you want one that folds up really small. You don't want one with a lot of layers in it.
Yeah.
You want something just a shell that you can fold up really small, and you can put layers on underneath. That's way more versatile than like having a bulky rain jacket.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. So that's both our top 3 things that we wouldn't, non-negotiable travel items.
Yeah.
All right. I think that's it for this week's episode and our first episode ever. So thank you so much for joining in. And if you want more from us, go onto our YouTube and subscribe to our YouTube channel, as well as see us over on TikTok, as well as Instagram. And it's all at Rangeless _ at the end.
Yep.
And join us next week when we talk about everything you're going to need to know to motorbike Vietnam in its entirety.
All right.
See you next week.